You'll be surprised to know that being a pro artist isn't what you think it is. As you watch me draw this, I'm going to destroy all the mysticism and romanticism around this by giving you raw and honest, open, grounded expectations about what the realities of being a professional artist is like. And by the end of this video, I think that you'll come to realize amateur and professional artists have a lot in common. So let's talk about what happens every single time you start something new. Or, hey, do you have great ideas? You have an amazing project. Do you have something that's like really deep and meaningful for you? At the outset though, every single time you go and sit down, you try and do it, what happens? It just can't happen. You just can't summon up the strength. You can't summon up the courage. And you're sitting there and you're just afraid. You ever feel arrested by this doubt, this fear, this anxiety that you feel? And then you're looking at people online and you're just wondering, like, how are they able to do this? And how are professionals able to just blast through this? And you might have this idea too that like it just doesn't exist for them, or that somehow you are deficient and they are just proficient at this thing called fear. Have you ever felt like this, or is this currently what you're thinking? Because one thing I just want to be very honest with you about is that fear is something that just never goes away. I think a really ungrounded expectation that you're gonna have is that through your art journey is that somehow fear just subsides, but that's not true. And just to be vulnerable with you about what my experiences are, every single time that I start a new project, I have really bad doubts. I have some anxieties about how it's gonna look. Will anybody like this? What's the client gonna think? And I can literally put that forth into everything that I've ever done. When I started this YouTube channel, I said, okay, well, anybody watches. Why would anybody want to watch me? When there's Mark Brunet and all these other super big art YouTubers, why would anybody want to watch me? When I started my freelance, oh my God, who'd want to buy from me? I'm not all these top tier artists. When I started my mentorship too, why would anybody want to learn with me when they could learn through all these other resources that are out there right now? So what I want to encourage you to know is that fear, that is always going to be a part of you. It's always going to be there. It's going to be just like your shadow. And so if you want a strategy for dealing with this, here's what I'd say is my number one strategy for success in dealing with fear. Is that first off, you have to recognize it when you feel that fear. But nowadays, I actually use fear as my compass, so that if I'm afraid of something, that's actually what I should do instead. So instead of being like, oh, well, you know, I don't know if I'm ready to start this project, I'm gonna start that project. I don't know if anyone's gonna like this video idea, I'm gonna make the video idea. And I think that what a lot of people tend to do is that they get turned off by fear without recognizing that fear is just the edge of your comfort zone. What do you think about that? And as we go through this video, I want to offer you a lot of strategies and ideas for how you can actually move past this one. So professional artists, we're not impervious to fear. What we learn to do is to just dance with it, how to maneuver around it. And then here's a really powerful way I want to ask you to consider this, okay? You might be afraid of doing the thing, of starting the art business, of launching into what you want and doing the things you want to do. But do you instead fear what your life will be like in the next 5 to 10 or 20 years from right now if you don't do that, if you don't start that, if you don't try and get clients, if you don't try and pursue what you actually want to do and you're just stuck in the same life you are in right now? Because I don't know about you, but to me, that terrifies me a lot more than just picking up a stylus and starting to go at it. Now, let's just suppose right now that you probably have a good idea. You have a great dream, you got some inspiration. The fact that you even have that, it is literally your soul telling you that you have a higher calling to do something more than what you're currently doing right now. However, though, can I tell you what is going to help you either get there or not? Well, it all comes down to this, my friend. What is your plan to get there? Now, on this topic, the biggest thing that I want you to know and understand is that there's no pro artist in the world that does not have a plan. They don't have an actual structure. The difference between the amateur artist and the professional artist is that the professional artist literally has like a roadmap, aka like a GPS to success on how to get from point A to point B. This is not innate. We don't always know every single twist and turn or where there's going to be traffic or roadblocks or pitfalls, versus the amateur who's going to have an idea and then not follow through with that. And what that's going to cause is a lot of plan blindness. And so basically, let me just give you some examples right here. Every single artwork that you make, what's your planning and preparation like for it? Because what I tend to often run into a lot is a lot of artists will be like, okay, oh man, well, this looks terrible. Oh, I hate the way shot. I don't know how to make this any better. And I'll be like, okay, cool. Show me your references. and there's 3 of them. Do you see the problem here? You all know Picasso, right? Well, did you know that on average, Picasso planned 6 hours every single time that he started any artwork before he actually started to paint it? Just think about it like this. What if you took that level of preparation into what you're currently doing? Or let me just ask you straight up, are you doing any preparation? Do you just go and get like one reference because you watch Sam Does Art, go ahead and get one picture and then make this bomb artwork? Well, guess what? That's the thing that I want to help you launch into, is how do you get to that level, is not doing what the people at that level are doing. They can do it because they've done all of this stuff. They have planned for all of this. They have that mountain of experience. But my friend, you don't. You're not there yet. And so when I was building myself into becoming a professional artist, I had to accept a goal without a plan is nothing but a dream. And dreams live in your head if you're going to start an art YouTube channel, okay? Who's your audience? What's your niche? What's your style of content? What's your delivery like versus everybody else? If you're gonna go ahead and start an art business, okay, cool, great. Again, who's your audience? Where are they? How are you gonna target them? How are you gonna get better paying versions of them? Like, just as an example right now, if you're in the freelance market like me, let me just give you this freebie here. If your plan is like, I'm going to get more clients by posting on Reddit, okay, cool. You know what most people don't do on Reddit is they only post to like 1 to 3 subreddits. I post to 20. But again, that comes from a plan. Again, on the topic of references, every single artwork like the one that you're watching me draw right now, I have easily 20 to 30 references, and I'm not looking for specific ones. When I do that, I'm looking for a collection of variety so that I don't have to stop and get more references. So let me just ask you right now, what is your planning phase like, and are you planning yourself into success? And now you might think, well, Sean, plans don't always go the way that we expect them to. I agree. I've got some advice for that in a minute. But for now, I want to give you this fair expectation that your plan will equal your later results. And yes, we do have to have some considerations, and I got you on that. Now, I may be a fantasy artist, as you may know, but I want to destroy this fantasy. You might have this romanticized vision that as a professional artist, one of the things you're going to do is you're just going to sit down and I'm just going to be in my nice, comfy, cozy space. I got this really aesthetic setup and there's all this inspiration everywhere. I am just an endless stream of productivity and I'm just going to sit down with a big old smile on my face and I am just going to crap out magic. And that every single moment of this one is just pure joy and it's pure ecstasy and everything I'm doing is just beautiful. I'm just romping through a flower field. Is this your expectation of what being a pro artist is like? Because I just want to annihilate that entire perception. It sucks when you're making artwork still. I still go through the ugly phases. Tell me down below, what is your ugly phase in your artwork? Because you know it. You know that moment where you're just like, I just want to dip out. Oh, this isn't working for me. Ooh, I don't like the way that works. For me personally, it's like right after I go ahead and I put down the initial light sources and I'm just like, ugh, vomit. This sucks. I hate that. And so one of the things I want to really encourage you to understand is that ugly phase of art, it never goes away. Every artist in the world experiences the ugly zone. Every single artist experiences those moments in their artwork where it's not good, that it doesn't look Instagram worthy, that you don't want to show it off to anybody, that you're ashamed of it, that you feel guilty about it. And that's when that doubt and that fear that we're going to talk about in a second are going to come into play. That's when you want to just understand this though, is that that's your signal that there's potential for it. You're probably going to think though, especially if you're somebody that's new, that's a hobbyist, or if you're an amateur that wants to grow into a professional artist, that just means that you're no good, that you don't have the chops. You're gonna think you're not talented or something like that, because we'll talk about that today too. But just recognize, we all go through that. That never goes away. You might watch some artists here on YouTube or any other platform, and you're just like, oh my God, it looks like magic. But hold on. If you actually pause that at certain points, you're gonna be like, great. Oh, it's so flawed. Or do you ever watch speed paints and you're just like, when are you gonna fix that? That looks a little jacked up. That looks a little weird. So just understand this. Even the most professional artists go through really ugly zones. And a lot of times they don't show it. Like, I'm just gonna be open and honest with you. There are certain moments when I'm doing my speed paints where I'm just like, I don't wanna record this section of it right here because I don't really know how I'm gonna do this. I don't know how I'm gonna fix this. I need to plan for this a little bit more. So you ever see like a little jump in it. It's literally just because I'm trying to figure something out. But actually, one of the things that I've also started to do is to just, I've kind of had this thought of like, you know what, maybe I should just show people this. I should just show people unabashedly that like, I go through these ugly zones too. And that's one of the things I like to do on my channel. And by the way, if you like that too, and you like that level of honesty with being an artist and in our business, please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe, because that's what I'm gonna serve to you every single week, just like this. But please, 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 my friend, do not ever expect the ugly zone, the ugly phase to ever go away. It will always exist. If you're stuck in the ugly phase, I'm gonna give you some tips and advice today on how to get through that, because it doesn't have to be it, and that doesn't have to be the end of it. And there's very common things that people do and also don't do in order to get themselves out of that rut, my friend. But I am equally ashamed. I also start to think to myself, will my client like this? Will the market like this? Will anybody buy this? We all think that way. It's not unique to you. You are not the victim of it. You're not impervious to this, and neither am I. Does that put you at ease? Now, I bet that right now you know exactly what you want to do, or at least you have some loose concept. Is that you? Like, do you have an idea of, okay, well, I want to make this type of art, or I want to go ahead and start a business doing this with my art, or I want to sell this type of art, or I think that if I start an art YouTube channel, then I should make this type of content. And all of those, they're all great ideas. Like, I just want to put that out there. You might have even developed a plan. And please, I hope that you have watched some of my previous content on how to make better goals, how to make a good art plan. And if you want those links, just ask me for it. I'll be happy to link you down below, because there's a good way to do it and there's a very poor way to do it. And through that though, here's what I want to let you know. I want you to expect that the plan will not work. And I know that that sounds really dismissive, but just to be honest with you, from the start of everything that I have started, nothing has gone to plan. And I mean that not in the sense that like it was stupid for me to do it or that you shouldn't have a plan, but instead, I want you to just view the plan as your roadmap to where you want to go right now, but also be open to the fact that there's something else that you could be doing. And this now entails the fact that what do you do when that plan doesn't work out? And what I've come to understand here is that in being a professional artist, you have to accept the fact in all facets of your art life here is that the outcome of whatever you want to do is 80% planning and then 20% reaction to it. But that 20% holds a lot of weight. So let me give you a few examples. Let's say that you're making artwork right now. One of the biggest tragic difficulties I see so many artists do is that they will just lock in, I have to do it like this. I want to do it like that. I have to express them like this. I have to show them like that. And while you're doing that, man, you are just really destroying any other possibilities, okay? And so this can pertain to like the lighting, it can pertain to the pose, and I have gone through this too. And one of the things I've learned to do is to challenge every single artwork and my perception of it, because the more that you hold on to, it has to be like this, I want it to be like this, or if you ever say this phrase, this is really toxic, don't say the phrase, I like it like that. If you say I like it like that, what you're doing is you're limiting what you could do with it to what you think you need to do with it right now. And one of the really hard things for us to do as artists is to release ourselves from that expectation. We have to compromise with it. You have to view your artwork and your plans like they are almost like a relationship, and you have to compromise on some things. And so oftentimes I will just go ahead and I will just rip apart the entire pose, the entire anatomy. And there are so many artists that I've worked with, or I've shown them things, or I've even done it myself, and they'll be like, oh God, but it's so much work. But I'm like, yeah, but it's more work for you to labor over something that you know is errored, is insufficient, doesn't communicate the story that you want, or is a lesser version of it, isn't it? So why would you do that instead of just ripping it apart, taking apart the pieces, and assembling back together in a way that's way better and more effective? I can also take a look in terms of my YouTube journey right here, okay? So tell me down below, like, how long have you been watching me? Because if you watch my earliest content, you'll find that it was all art instruction based, okay? Like, I used to only do tutorials, and I actually first started this, by the way, during COVID when I had to teach online to my students. And yeah, that content doesn't really exist on this channel much anymore. I don't really do much with it at all. I've actually privated most of that content because it just doesn't follow the direction. And then I used to do all of these different videos. I used to do totally different topics. And then the thing that finally hit for me was when I made my first ever art commission video, and it was on how to get commissions on DeviantArt. You ever seen that one? That was my first video that ever took off. And from that, I learned, okay, well, maybe people are interested in art business. Maybe people are interested in freelance. People are interested in commissions. Oh my God. And so from doing that, I reacted to it. I didn't plan for that to happen. I planned to make the videos, but I'm also always open to wonder. Be open to possibilities as well, my friend. I can also take a look at this in terms of my art business too. Like, here's a really funny one. When I started my mentorship a couple years ago, okay, I do all of my one-on-one mentorship calls via Discord. I did not know for the first 3 months of my mentorship. God, am I embarrassed to say this? I'm sorry to everybody that joined up with me in the beginning and I didn't know this. I did not know that you could stream on Discord. Isn't that stupid? But literally, like, I had no idea. So I used to talk to people for an hour and I used to give them help and advice. I used to describe to them what they'd want to do. I'd give them paintovers I would do afterwards and then send it to them. And then I learned, oh wait, I can actually do this live. And it totally transformed everything. I didn't plan for that to be a big component of it, but that is a major staple. If you're in my mentorship right now, right? Can you all imagine what that would be like? So different, right? And so what I want to encourage you to do is just accept the fact that you have a plan, but there's probably a better version of that plan, and expect for you to have to pivot and shift it. I mean, even think of it like this, right? There's a lot of art businesses that exist right now, and my God, I shake my head every single time I hear this. Have you ever heard somebody say like, oh, I had a great art business, then COVID destroyed it? Y'all, COVID was 6 years ago, just about 6 years ago at this point, recording this in 2025 right now. You can't still blame COVID. You can't still blame something that happened 6 years ago for where you're at right now. Like, even during that time of COVID, I lost a part-time job that I had at the moment. And that was my moment to say, okay, well, I could either go ahead and just wallow in despair of that, or turn to my wife and I told her this: I'm gonna just double down on everything I'm doing freelancing. And that was the best decision of my life. I've literally tripled my prices. I've gotten way better clients. I've gotten way more opportunities. I got way more serious about YouTube from it. I got way more serious about my business from it. And so that's the reaction component. If you only plan and you don't react, then what can you really expect to have happen? Because all businesses and all artists have to learn how to react. This can even be the feedback that you get as well too. A lot of artists hate getting feedback. Are you one of those people? But again, if you never get feedback, how are you ever going to be a more elevated artist when that more elevated artist doesn't currently exist in your mind? So how do you need to react better or plan better for your future success? Now, here's a common struggle that you and I both share. It is the concept of time. Let me ask you right now, do you feel like you don't have enough time? Do you feel like you are just strapped by your time? Do you ever feel like, okay, I'm doing the best that I can, but I only have this right now? Because one of the things that I need to just disrupt with you right now is the fact that you and I both have the same 24 hours. If you don't utilize the time that you have, you're going to fall into habits and distractions that will take you away from using the time that you have. And so, just to give you some statistics, the average person wastes about 2 to 3 hours a day on their phone. The average person wastes about 2 to 3 hours a day watching TV or consuming some other type of media. And so, one of the things that really shifted my mindset on how to use time better, I'm going to give you some strategies on how to do this too in a sec, is when I first heard Gary Vee say this quote. And what he says is that the next time you say that you don't have enough time, just say to yourself, I just don't care that much. And I remember hearing that. And you might even hear me saying that and you're just like, whatever, click off. Please don't. Hear me out. The first time I heard that, I had that same reaction. And it was like vitriolic. And I was like, whoa, what, like, you don't know. How do you assume that we all live the same life and we can say that? But then when I really sat down and I thought about it, I kind of realized to myself, you know what? I think you're right. I think that's a big mindset shift. And you know why people get mad about such sentiments? It's because you don't want to hold yourself accountable for it. And you don't want to also entertain the fact that there's a better version of yourself and a better way to do what you're currently doing. And then again, all goes back to not how do you do more, but how do you do more easier? How do you do it more efficiently? And sometimes, just to be honest, like I've gone through certain times, like when I first started this channel here, video editing sucks. Production of this sucks. This video I'm recording with you right now, this is taking way longer than I thought it would. That sucks because I prefer to get it done a lot faster, but it's still happening. but I know too at the same time that it'll all be worthwhile, that it will also eventually yield me some wisdom on, okay, how do I do this faster? And I've learned, how do I edit my video faster? How do I produce this content faster? How do I plan for it so it will go faster? And sometimes you can't shortcut it, but there's a lot of components that you can start to think to yourself, I need to do this, but how do I do it faster or more efficiently? Or how do I approach it differently so that it won't be so taxing? I have more time for my actual zone of genius. Have you ever considered that? Here's another thing too, is that you might be telling yourself, or you might even tell me down below, Sean, I'm just capped out. I can't do anymore. But here's the one thing that I've heard before, and I just want to kind of encourage you to consider. If I followed you around for an entire week, would I see that you're committed to your goals? Or would I see where you're slacking on them? You tell me. Because time, instead, I want you to view this not as a limit, not as a cap for you, but as a resource. In the same way that you would use money, money is a resource, right? And think about your time in terms of like a budget. And in the same way that you can spend frivolously and you can spend your money on crap that doesn't matter and it's gonna disappear and it's not gonna be an asset for you, how are you investing that time as money into yourself? Because the number one investment that you'll ever make is into yourself. And it might take you more time. It might take you longer than you think. But your time yields your results. How you use that time yields your results. And one of the things I've kind of come to learn I want to impart to you is this wisdom. You are your habits. And if your habits don't support what you want to do and how to achieve what you want to achieve or do the things you want to do, you can't blame anything else. You might have been born into some things like we'll talk about too, but it's not the end of you. It's just the beginning. Now let's talk about the number one killer of all artistry. And I'm going to say this across the board, every single artist struggles with this one. And so again, you might be thinking to yourself that like, okay, when I go ahead and I decide I want to make some artwork, I'm just going to go ahead and cook that stuff up and it's going to be amazing and I'm just going to have a blast doing it. And I'm just going to think about nothing but that. I'm just locked into it. But I just want to peel back that layer. I want to unveil what the reality is here. I also would rather do other things. I also would rather be doing something else. I commonly think to myself, oh man, well, I really like to do this. I really want to watch that show. That new season just came out, or I just got that game, or oh man, I should go ahead and invest into this. I'd rather do that. This sounds more fun. I don't feel like it. And because of all that, what I want to let you know is that all professional artists have that same urge that you have right now, which is that you'd rather do something more fun. And why is that? Because our brains are wired to desire. Our brains are wired against discomfort. I want to just let you know this, just from a mindset perspective, your brain is not put and designed to actually let you be the best version of yourself. It's designed to keep you safe. It's designed to keep you in the weakest version of yourself, the most fragile version of yourself, not the highest version of yourself that can actually do everything that you want to do. And if you want to go and pursue something greater than what you currently have, you have to learn how to evolve your mindset, like through the tips and tricks I'm giving you in this video today on how to actually approach that. And you need different strategies to do that. And so like, for example, I really love games. I love video games. And I literally though, for the last month, I have been looking at 4 completely unwrapped games on my shelf and I have not touched them. And every single weekend I say to myself, I'm gonna sit down, oh, this is my weekend, this is my day, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. And then that weekend comes and I have to go, do I really wanna do that? Is that really the best choice for me? Is that going to help me? And it's been a hard no for me. And so I think that some of the really common misconceptions are around the fact that you think that just because we're professional artists or that so-and-so is a pro artist, that they don't have that urge or that distraction. But they do. And we're not special or unique in doing it. But here's the main factor. If you're like, Sean, I play too much games, I watch too much shows, I consume too much, and I don't create enough. Here's the big thing that I want to urge you to consider is that what are you doing to create the life that you want versus consume the life that helps somebody else get what they want? What are you currently doing and how are your efforts helping you get to that or help you keep away from that existence? Because it's within your control. And one of the things that you and I both grapple with is that choice and that decision. And for me, one of the things that I always have to ask myself is, if I were to do that, how will I feel about it tomorrow? Because how we tend to feel and view things is through the lens of like short-term decisions. Yes, I might be tired. Maybe I shouldn't do it today. Yes, I'm too tired. I had a long day at work. I should just watch this, play this instead. Yes, I might have had a fallout with somebody. I might have had an argument with my spouse. I might have had a rough day with my kids. Oh man, I'd so much rather sit down and just play games. I'd rather watch my show. I like to binge watch. But how am I going to feel about that tomorrow? How am I going to feel about that in a week, in a month, in a year, in 5 years, 10 years? And if I start to feel any twinge of guilt, that's what really starts to push me towards just doing it. Like right now, I'm writing my dissertation. In case you don't know what's involved in that, it's a 180 to 300 page document. And that's where I got all my research I'm going to present you with some of my other topics in this video today. But we all struggle with this one. But if you want to achieve what you want to achieve, I just wanted to help you understand this, is that you don't have to give that up. You can still do it. But what's your moderation like? What's your split? Like, what's your percentage? Like, are you creating more or are you consuming more? Because if it's more than 50%, it's pretty obvious what path you're on, don't you think? Now, let me just go ahead and dispel, I'd say, one of the most toxic influences. It's one of the worst mindsets, the worst philosophies, and it's this thing called talent. Because one of the things I just want to let you know is that when you become a pro artist, when you're turning into a pro artist, and when you're around pro artists, nobody really thinks or talks about this. This is a really silly concept. And when you really get down to it, here's what you'll find, is that it's really stupid to just go ahead and adhere to this really insane concept, because there's absolutely no proof of this thing's existence, okay? So you might be like, oh, Sean, well, hold on. I've seen this virtuoso child that's like 2. Or you might think of like Mozart and be like, okay, whoa, he was amazing and he was only 2 years old. Yeah, but hold on. Or you might be like, oh, well, Tiger Woods. Yes, you're right. But here's the thing. What you'll find is that they were typically born into families where they were encouraged from a super young age. They were also supported, or in those 2 examples specifically, both their parents were professionals in their field. So it was very easy to sit down with that child and teach them everything that they knew from a super young age. And if you were born into affluence and you were born into that level of privilege and you were also born into that level of instruction, it's not that crazy to think that you would also be like them too. The only difference between somebody who's talented and untalented is their perception of this one and the way to which they assign this, okay? And in fact, what you'll actually find is that if you really want to boil it down to, or if you think that you currently right now, do you feel like you're held back by your talent? Really what it is that you're just held back by the story that you tell yourself about this. And then you might also be like, okay, well, this might be something that helps me. Then I just want you to hear that as what it is. It's just ego. And when you in fact take a look at studies of children and you take a look at studies of developing artists, one thing I found in my research is that the more that you talk about this and you bring it up and the more that you think about it, actually, the more it dissuades you from artwork, the more it dissuades you from being the artist that you could be, the more that it actually destroys and erodes your potential, because you're ascribing to something that doesn't exist. But if you think that somehow artists just sit around and talk about this, they don't. And if you believe in it, great, it won't help you. If you don't believe in it, also great, because it won't help you either. Just instead focus on you. Take accountability for what you can do, my friend, because that's how I've gone ahead and I've pursued everything that I've gotten and everything that I've done. And I promise you, the second that you give this concept up, the better you're gonna feel. Now, can I give you a mega superpower tip here? If you're somebody right now who might be thinking to themselves, well, Sean, I'm not the same. I don't think that I'm able to do what these other people are, or I have all of these circumstances surrounding me, and I'll help you through that in a second too. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, Sean, that person's just built different. They're just not the same as me. And I have all of these things stacked against me. Do you feel like that too right now? And one of the things that I've kind of learned through my journey too, because I've gone through some struggles, I've gone through some traumas. I'm not impervious. I wasn't born into wealth and privilege either. And one of the things I want to convey to you is that literally, if you want the biggest cheat code to achieving your art success, whatever your art success is, my friend, whatever version of it that you want, it's just not quitting. And I can put this into so many great contexts for you. As I've gone ahead and for the last 15 years, I've been a professional artist. This is my sole source of income. This is how I support my family. Surprisingly, I am the only person still left who went through my program and is actually still teaching art. I am the only person that I know that actually went through my school and is actually a practicing artist still. I can also put this into freelancing, okay? Did you know that the average lifespan of the average art freelancer is 2 to 5 years? I'm currently going on year 11 right now. As far as YouTubers go, do you know what the average amount of time that people produce content before they quit is? It's about 7. And so right now, where I've been at this for 4.5 years, I produced well over 250 videos, and I've had some flops, I've had some hits, I've had some things take off unexpectedly too. Here's the major cheat code and thing I want to let you know. If you quit, I can guarantee you will fail. I will guarantee that you will be stuck in the exact same circumstances that you are in right now. In 10 years, you will think to yourself the same thing you're thinking right now. Oh, I wish that I was here. I wish I was doing this. I wish I'd started that project. I wish I did this. I wish I was ready. You're still going to feel that way. In 20 years, you're going to feel an even greater level of regret. And in 30 years from right now, guess what? You're going to feel an insane amount of regret, and you're going to be bitter or resentful at yourself because you didn't do that. And all of those are major driving factors for why I continue to push myself and why I continue to do the things that I do, is because I view that version of me versus this version of me. And I ask myself, which one am I chasing more? Which version do I want to go for? And so have you ever thought this yourself? Have you ever asked this for yourself, friend? If you just actually work and labor towards that thing that you want and you don't give up, you're guaranteed to get it. It might not come as fast as you want. It might take more time, but listen, time's going to go by anyways, and it doesn't care about you. So shouldn't you care about you? Now this one right here, I had a little bit of a tough time really understanding this, really digesting this, and I think that a lot of people do too. So what do you think about what you're currently doing right now? What do you think about your current results? Are you happy with where you want to be right now? Or do you kind of think to yourself, do you have this kind of lingering kind of feeling, this premonition right here, and you're like, oh, I think that there's more. I think that there's better. I think I could have more. But then you contrast that with what you're doing right now. Are you currently telling yourself that, well, John, I'm just doing the best that I can. I'm doing it all, and I'm doing everything that I need to do, but I'm just not getting the results that I want. And I've got this plan, I've got this strategy, I've done the things that you said, but I'm just not getting there right now, okay? And so that all brings up to this topic, and I had to really wrestle with this one, and it was a tough pill to swallow, but I have come to accept this fact that your current efforts right now equal your current results. And so all too often, I encounter people that are just like, I've done it, I'm doing it all, I'm doing as much as I could. There's nothing more I can do. I used to think this way too, and I just want to just go ahead and just blow this out of the water. Everything that you're doing right now is the best of what you know how to do right now. But your adherence to those exact practices, your adherence to those exact efforts is literally the only cap that exists. I see this all the time where people are like, well, Sean, I really want clients and I've done the things that you said. And I'll always ask them the same 3 questions. I'll be like, what's your niche and style? They'll be like, I don't know. Where are you looking for clients? No, I put up a post on Instagram about once a month. Well, that's a problem. What have you been doing differently? What other sites, what other platforms have you tried here? Really nothing. Okay, well, that's why. Every single thing that you do. You can also take a look at this in terms of your practices and how much you're doing it and what you're trying to build. Hey, what's your goal? They're like, I want to be a concept artist. Okay, fine, great. What are you doing towards that? Where's your concept art? I didn't make any yet. Okay, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And so for me, I had to learn to myself that if I wanted to attract the clients I wanted to in my freelance business, I had to make the artwork that they wanted to see. And I had to, if I wanted to make more money off of that, I had to make artwork that was worth more money for that. And so oftentimes we think to ourselves and we tell ourselves this story that I'm doing the best, I'm doing the most, and you're correct, but it's only what you know and only what you know how to do right now. Not the best ever, because if you knew how to do the best ever, then you would do it. But you don't. So what I want to encourage you, my friend, is this. Be in the active pursuit of what is the next level. What is the next thing you have to do? How can you do it differently? And so I don't want you to also think, as a big tip here, don't think to yourself, oh, I have to do more and more and more. No, my mindset has shifted to this. How do you do that and make it easier? Because at this point in my life, where I have a lot of duties, I have a lot of responsibilities. I'm not just an artist, I'm also a husband, I'm also a father. I have multiple art businesses that I do. I'm also a doctoral student as well. And so one of the things that I really want to convey to you is that it's not always about stacking more and more and more. It's about going ahead and understanding how do you do more, but do it wiser and do it more efficiently so that it's not as laborious. Does that sound easier for you? What things are hard for you right now? And let me just ask you, how do you think you need to make it easier? Because this doesn't have to be a big struggle. And oftentimes, if it is a struggle, it's not long term. Now, let me ask you, what's your support system currently like? Do you have a whole bunch of loved ones that just absolutely gush over everything that you do? Or did you have supportive parents that were like, yes, go do that thing? But on the other hand, are you more like me? Did you have dismissive parents? Did you have parents that were laid back? Did you have a home environment that kind of saw what you're doing as stupid? Did they ever purposely sabotage that? Did they ever try and tell you that it's not realistic, you can't do that thing, you should be realistic, you should go get a job? And one of the biggest environmental factors that you'll ever face is your home environment. It's not just the family you were born into, it can be your friend circle, it can be your spouse, it can be anybody in there. And so one of the things that I've come to realize though is that pros deal with all of this too, okay? There's something weird in our society about how people view artists, and the biggest reason I've come to understand through my research is that art is viewed as a very infantile and often juvenile pursuit. Have you ever found this too? And so we tend to associate art making with childlike endeavors. When I really got down to it and I examined this, you can view it in one of two ways. You can either say to yourself, well, I can't do it because I don't get the support, or here's my philosophy, you will not get support for that thing until you achieve the results. And this is a real tough pill to swallow for a lot of us. I had coworkers, I had family tell me that this wouldn't work out, that they were nervous for me, that I should have a backup plan, that I should do this and that. And I'm not telling you to go quit your job and be a pro artist by any means, but just understand this. Nobody is going to come and support you, and don't have that expectation until you actually do something that shows that they should support you. My current attitude now is that I have to earn their support. Now that I have a job doing this, now that I have consistent monthly income from this, nobody tells me, oh, Sean, you were wrong. When I first started my YouTube journey, I told my wife, hey, I want to start my YouTube channel. And she said this out of love, but she thought I shouldn't do this. She thought it would take too much time away from the family. She thought that it would take time away from us. She thought that this would be something that would be a bad experience, that people would come for us, or that people would come for me, and it would hurt my feelings, or it would hurt my mental health. But then literally like 2 years ago, my wife said, Sean, this is the best decision you ever made. I'm sorry, I was wrong about this one. And so because of that, I have this mindset now of I have to earn people's respect. I think too many of us expect people to just blindly support us. But I just want to say that I wouldn't have that expectation of anybody for anything, art related or non-art related. And so what I want to urge you to do is prove to everybody why they should support you. Because it's nice for you to go ahead and exercise the mouth rather than the hand and tell people that you're going to do this and tell people about your goal and tell people about your big project and then blab all about this and show them your planning and show them all this. But my friend, that's not work. There's no work involved in the actual planning. There's no work in the ideation. There's no work in the preparation for it. The work is the work. And the thing I want to let you know is that the work is the way. The work is the way that you're going to get support, is the way that you're going to get admiration, is the way that people are going to believe in you. Because you have to believe in yourself and show that belief in yourself through your actions. And through that, you will inspire people to believe in you. Because what you'll eventually come to is this. People won't doubt you. Instead, what they're going to say is, how do they do that? Because you'll turn your doubters into your supporters. And wouldn't you like that? Because that's how. You have a lot of things that obviously you can improve upon, that you want to do better. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, Sean, I want to change this, or I want to change this, or maybe there's a different approach I can do. And I just don't know how to do it. And listen, I had to cross all of those bridges too. And I really would like to help you do it faster. Would you like that too? Because if so, check out this video right here and learn everything I had to change to be a pro artist, just like this. I hope this helped you. And if it did, share with someone that you know. See you next time.